Welcome my friends, Seven Gray here. I hope you're all having a fabulous day. Today I've just reached Fresno and the very first thing that I want to do is get rid of this scruffy beard. This is about 10 days worth of growth here. It's just really getting annoying and itching, so I'm going to shave it off. While I was at mindfulness camp in Sedona, I ordered a power cord so that I can charge my cordless trimmer here. And the old cord that I had was for 110 volts. The new cord I have uses USB so that I can charge it with 12 volt off of the rig here in the step van. Or when I'm traveling abroad, I can just use a USB plug and charge it up. I think it's a way better solution. So this charged fully overnight. And so this morning, I'm gonna shave. And it's done. I feel so much better. It's nice and short now. It doesn't itch anymore. Shave my head too. Wow, this feels like such a relief. I think you all know getting a haircut is a little bit like a massage. It just feels good. It's invigorating, feels really amazing just to have everything nice and neat and tidy. I want to explain why I'm in Fresno. Paul is a subscriber of mine. I met him last October at his invitation. In the comments, he contacted me and offered to help me a little bit with the step van project. So I was here about a week in October and I'm back. Paul is having surgery in just a few days, so I arrived a little bit early and trying to do anything where he needs another person. So he has a whole giant task list of things that I'm going to try to help out with. And some of these are moving items from one place to another. Some of the items are other stuff that he's just trying to get done before he has his surgery. He's having hip surgery, so he's going to be down and not walking well for a few days until the hip heals. Those of you who have been following my channel for a while know that over the past probably 6, 7, 8 months, I've been trying to figure out this situation with squeaking coming from the front end of my vehicle. And originally I thought it was probably bearings or brakes. I wasn't sure which, and so I've gone through 4 or maybe 5 attempts to solve this problem. Let me give you the basic background of each of the attempts and I'll try to link the episodes above. So today I'm trying it again, but I want to give you the background. So attempt number 1, I met with Steve in Denver and we tried to lift up the front of the step van to pull off the wheels and see what was going on. And his floor jack wouldn't lift it. He had this super industrial slide under a nice fancy floor jack, just wouldn't lift it. So I went and bought a special bottle jack that could lift like megatons of weight, lifted it up, and then we tried to use this heavy industrial air ratchet thing that Steve has to get it off, to get the lug nuts off, and couldn't budge the lug nuts. They're too big, too industrial. They're like these oversized, huge lug nuts. No go. So Steve said, I just don't have the equipment. Why don't you check with my friend Derek? He's up north of Denver. He's this big, super knowledgeable diesel mechanic. So I drove all the way up there to meet with Derek. Attempt number 3. Derek says, no, I don't think it's your brakes. I don't think it's your bearings. You just need to grease everything. So he greased all the zerks and said, you're good to go. It should be fine. Still nothing solved. So I leave for a road trip. I head to Washington, up through Canada, drive through Cranbrook in Canada, and the step van is squeaking like crazy. It's just, I think that the bearings and the wheels are going to fall off. Something is bad. I think it's got to be the bearings, just must be the bearings. So I went to a diesel mechanic shop there, and they pulled off the wheels, looked at the bearings, said the bearings are fine, everything looks great. But we think you have a sticky caliper on the driver's side. So I said, well, that sounds pretty easy. You can fix that pretty easy. Yeah, no problem. It's pretty quick. So they went in to fix the caliper and they tried to bill me for like, I don't know, 4 or 5 hours. It was hundreds and hundreds of dollars. And it took a boatload of cash for me to get out of there. Drove down the road 45 minutes to an hour, squeaking like crazy again. Nothing has improved. And so I've dumped all this time and money into it, multiple attempts. Most recently, last October, I was here in Fresno at Paul's shop and replaced the front brake lines, thinking that one of the brake lines might have collapsed. It was not that. No change in the prognosis, no change in the situation at all. That didn't solve it. So I'm back again in Fresno, and we're going for temp number, what is that, 4 or 5? You guys have to count it and tell me. Anyway, so Paul said, let's get a caliper, and he checked with his mechanic, and they said it would be like an hour time to install the caliper, but we want to make sure which caliper is making the noise. So I think we have a solution on how to do that. I'm going to go run an errand, and I'll tell you what I come up with. I'm trying to figure out which caliper on my brakes is sticking, and so I bought this laser temperature sensor thing from Harbor Freight so that I can point it at the brakes. So I'm going to go for a spin with Paul. I'm here in Fresno so that we can check the brake temperature. So we're going to drive around, wait for the brakes to heat up, and then we're going to check the temperature. So this is a little tour thing. We're also going to run a couple of errands, so it should be win-win-win. And hopefully I can finally figure out which one of my brake calipers is sticking. We're going to take the laser gun here and we're going to crawl underneath and we're going to check all of the temperatures. I've got to get this piece of cardboard here to step on. Alright, I've got Paul helping me out here. By the way, this idea was from a bunch of subscribers when I was trying to diagnose this before. The history of this is that I've tried 4 or 5 times to repair this caliper and it's still giving me problems. So we've got the cardboard set up down here, and I've got the laser gun, and I'm going to point it underneath each of the brakes and try to see which one's the hottest. It's 91 on the caliper where the red dot is. Okay. All right, so I'll test this one. Same spot, I think, is, yeah, 133. This one's way hotter.
Should we try the back then?
140.
Oh boy.
Yeah, 130, 140 on that wheel. That's the one I think it is. Okay, so passenger side about 135 and driver's side in the 90s, like 95. So clearly the passenger side is way hotter. We're going to test the back wheels now. Oh, let me go get the cardboard.
I'll get it for you.
Alright, you get 100 degrees on this one, so it's almost the same. That one over there is also 103. So both back wheels have 100 degrees, so they're consistent. I don't think that's the problem. I think it's that front wheel. So there you have it. The magic laser gun is telling us 100 degrees for both back calipers. So front caliper on the passenger side is 130, 135, and on the driver's side it's about 100 degrees. I'm back at Paul's house, and I think we've got a prognosis on which brake needs to be repaired, which caliper is the bad one. So we just called and made an appointment with the mechanic for tomorrow morning. So we'll be taking it in there, giving them the part, dropping it off. Hopefully later in the day we'll get the step van back with the caliper repaired, and hopefully, crossing my fingers, problem would be solved. That's all I have for this episode. Thank you for watching. Savor the moment. See you next episode.